As always, I'm your host, Rudy Cardona, coming to you on YouTube and podcast applications every Friday. As you can see, this is the first show, or if you're listening to it on podcast, this is the first show where I'm actually posting a video up on YouTube. So if you like that, go check out my channel and see if you like that better. If not, you can always listen to me on podcast sources like iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. You know, trying something new, wanting to give the people out there listening something else to, do with their time if you actually like a real view instead of just listening to it in your car or whatever it may be. And I just want to do something more for the fans out there. Let's start talking today about the related Eagles news that's going on with Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck. Zach Ertz got a $42 million contract with $20 million guaranteed, 42.5 to be exact. And I think this is great. Zach was definitely, we were going to pay him no matter what. There was definitely nothing to worry about there. But I was kind of curious how much he was going to get as a result of, the free agency issues that were going on. Next year, he was set to be a free agent with Brent Selleck. And as soon as I found out that he got an extension, I was extremely happy. A lot of people know that he's pretty good as a wide receiver. I think his catching ability is definitely underrated. People like to look at the Gronkowskis, the Travis Kelce's, and see this dominating force. Even Jimmy Graham, see this 6'7" dominating force out there, and they a lot of these tight ends are underrated out there. Jason Witten has always been one of the best in the league. Martellus Bennett on the Bears now, he's always switching teams, and I think that sucks too. I think he's such a great talent, and he's just jumping all over the place, and teams need to just, whatever team he's on, he should just lock him up. I think he's great. But specifically Zach Ertz, we drafted him when we had Chip Kelly as a wide receiving option, and he's been really great. He hasn't put up amazing numbers the way Gronkowski or Travis Kelce have, but for the system that we were running, he was doing a really great job. And Brent Selleck also. Brent Selleck's been doing a great job, and he's definitely underrated. I hear a lot of people talking about, we don't have a really good tight end. Brent Selleck, to me, is one of the better blocking tight ends in the league, which is probably the most essential thing on an offensive line, to have a tight end that does that. But at the same time, Brent Selleck has really solid hands. And to see the fact that Zach Ertz got an extension of $42 million and Brent Selleck also got an extension for $13 million with $6 million guaranteed, just shows not only how great of an asset they are to the team, but at the same time, Kansas City Chiefs did such a great job utilizing Travis Kelce. And we saw not this year but last year where a majority of the touchdowns and a majority of the catches were coming off of tight ends and running backs on that team. So I don't want to think anything crazy, but at the same time, I got to believe that Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck used together are going to be a great duo. Not to mention the fact that both of them can catch. When you have tight ends out there that can catch the ball and secure the catch, I think that's the greatest thing. You have a lot of tight ends out there. Like Jimmy Graham's great at what he does when it comes to catching the ball and everything, but at the same time, he has a lot of trouble blocking. And the tight ends out there that can do both are the ones that are most essential to their teams. I'm just extremely happy we tied them both up. I was really worried about Brent Selleck. Once I found out Zach Ertz was getting a $42 million contract, I kind of thought about Brent Selleck and was kind of just like, holy crap, is he going to be able to stay on the team or not? A lot of people look at him because he's 30 years old and think that he's used up or he's not that good anymore, but he's such an essential piece to the team. And the fact that we were able to lock him up for another 3 years just shows how essential he is. By that time, he'll be 33, well into the real depths of his career. And I'm sure at that point, if he still is producing or still helping out the team, then maybe we'll give him another 1 or 2 year deal after that. But for the most part, he's got a sufficient amount of money. I think Brent Selleck's first contract was for about $33 million when we signed him to his first extension. And he's just extremely beneficial. To have both these guys is awesome. I think they both being on the field at the same time pose a dual threat in tight end wide receivers where either one of them can come down with the ball. Zach Ertz is seen more as a primary wide receiver just because he's got more range on him. When it comes to Brent Selleck can catch the ball, but you'll see Zach Ertz go up and get the ball make those little like spectacular type of catches and whatnot. But for the most part, having both of them on there is such a benefit, and we can see this looking at the Patriots. When the Patriots had Hernandez and Gronkowski on the field together, because they were so good at the same time, it was so hard for defenses to account for both of them. So the fact that you have to worry about both tight ends as well as other wide receivers out there just makes it that much more beneficial. Not to mention Zach Ertz, when he was talking on his press conference, was just talking about how important it is for him to excel. He's extremely happy to be back on the team, which is great to hear. But at the same time, he's so focused on, increasing his blocking ability. And to hear that from a tight end, like a lot of these tight ends, and you hear it all the time. A lot of these tight ends are paid to catch the ball. They're paid to be wide receivers. So the fact that Zach Ertz wants to be a well-rounded tight end, it just shows how great it is. That's what we see from Jason Witten on the Cowboys. Jason Witten secures every time he gets the ball, whether it be like a 3rd and 6 or 3 and 18 or whatever it may be. They always try to get him the ball so he can get the first down. Jason Witten sacrifices, like touchdowns and points like that for his team. And he's also seen as one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. So to see the growth out of Zach Ertz, and to see him, I mean, he's been under Brent Selleck and they've had the same coach. You got to believe that Brent Selleck's blocking ability and Brent Selleck's like motivation is going to also encourage Zach Ertz. I mean, at first I thought Brent Selleck might be upset because Zach Ertz got the extension, worrying that he's going to be out the door and whatnot. But one of the first tweets that Zach Ertz posted up was that Brent Selleck was congratulating him on all the success that he had and the extension. So it's great to see those type of things. I'm extremely happy. That was one of the first things I noticed when Doug Peterson came to the team, was how beneficial he was to the tight ends and running backs on his team when he was in Kansas City. So the fact that he's going to bring that mentality back to the Eagles is just going to be great. And if anything, looking at it from an offensive standpoint, if you have the running backs and the tight ends so beneficial in the passing game, then that opens up the room for the wide receivers. So I can only imagine that the wide receiving core is going to do great things. And nothing against Kansas City's wide receivers, but I got to believe that our wide receivers are at least a little bit more diverse. I mean, it kind of sucks when you say it because they took Jeremy Maclin, but at the same time, Jordan Matthews being in the slot, they don't really have a really good slot receiver. Nelson Aguilar hopefully will step up with Doug Peterson taking over and doing a great job on his side. I'm just extremely happy with these extensions. There's also news going around that more players are going into negotiation talks to increase, their extensions on the team as well. And this is extremely beneficial. One of the biggest worries I had was going into free agency next year, not this year, where we would lose a lot of players. So the fact that we can lock them up a year earlier, give them a little bit more money, and tie them up for a couple years and keep the team young and energetic would be extremely beneficial. I mean, we see that with the Seahawks, where a majority of their team is still young and still playing at such a high level. And I think that doing that for the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be beneficial for us in the future. Still go back to whatever the hell we're going to do for quarterback. Zach Ertz, when he was talking in his press conference, was extremely adamant about saying how much he liked Sam Bradford, how much he liked working with him, and the great chemistry that they built. Does this mean I want Sam? Not necessarily. Definitely not necessarily. But at the same time, at least you can see where the players' mindsets are at. Are we going to get Sam? I don't know. Do I want Sam? Not really. But at the same time, I bet a lot of these veterans, and I will call Zach Ertz a veteran now that he's got his extension, is that they want someone they can have chemistry with. And I feel like a lot of players, especially veteran players, worry about a rookie quarterback coming into the league and not having that chemistry right off the bat. So I got to believe that that's where Zach Ertz's mentality is. That's where Jordan Matthews' mentality is as far as players that will be able to help them. Moving on, I wanted to talk about the Pro Bowl. We got the Pro Bowl coming up on this Sunday. Main players that are in the Pro Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we didn't see them because they were previous, except for Malcolm Jenkins. We didn't see Darren Sproles or Fletcher Cox get picked up for the Pro Bowl. I believe it's just Darren Sproles, Fletcher Cox, and Malcolm Jenkins that are in the Pro Bowl for the Eagles, but we didn't see either of Darren Sproles or Fletcher Cox get picked up because they were previously picked prior to the Pro Bowl going on. Malcolm Jenkins was the last safety taken, but at the same time, if you're looking at, to me, picks in the Pro Bowl never really matter that much. When it comes to looking at, the draft of the Pro Bowl, I never pay attention. I mean, Nick Foles was in the Pro Bowl, and he was picked like near dead last when it came to quarterbacks, and he came out and he shined. If any, and he turned out to be the MVP of the Pro Bowl that he was in. I'm not sure if that was last year or the year before that, but whatever year it was, he came out and he really dominated. But I mean, Darren Sproles is going to be a kick returner for the Pro Bowl and serves him right. I mean, the guy's been in the league for a really long time. He's one of the most dangerous returners in the game, and hopefully they let him play a little bit of running back too. I think he's very underrated, and we use him very well. So we'll see what Darren Sproles can really bring to the table aside from a kick returner, unless that's what they keep him at. Um, Fletcher Cox is just a beast. I mean, I'm not even being, biased about my own players. He's just a monster. And finally, we get to see that his playmaking ability is definitely starting to show itself, and that people are starting to see that. He's no longer an underrated defensive lineman. Now he's actually starting to shine, and people are actually starting to recognize who he is. So that's one of the better things about seeing the Pro Bowl for my players. We don't have a lot, but you get to see the talent that is on our team, and soon we'll see more and more. My biggest concern, actually, looking at the Pro Bowl, I was pretty upset with this Pro Bowl, actually. When I was watching, I was really amped up. I was really excited for the Pro Bowl. I'm talking about the Pro Bowl selection, not the actual Pro Bowl, because it hasn't happened yet. But I get amped up for the draft. I mean, the Pro Bowl draft is supposed to be something, energetic. It's supposed to be something, that makes you stay on football waiting for the Super Bowl. So to me, the draft is just as important as the actual Pro Bowl game itself, because the draft is what's going to hype up, what goes into the Pro Bowl itself. I love that sense of the competition between the two coaches, whoever they like this year it's Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice. So that competition that goes on between the two of them, it should build a fire there. You know what I mean? I mean, the Pro Bowl now is so important because a couple years ago, if you're a football fan, but if you're not, a couple years ago they were talking about just stopping the Pro Bowl. A lot of people weren't watching it. A lot of people didn't want to see it. The players didn't want to go full speed because they didn't want to risk injury, which is completely understandable. Why would you want to risk injury on a game that's not beneficial for you or your career? It's more an exhibition, fun game, but it's a tradition. It's been a tradition in the NFL for a very long time. So the fact that we were thinking about, not we, the NFL was thinking about ending it all together. I just think it's nuts. First of all, I thought it was nuts when they were doing it, and at the same time, I couldn't believe we ever got to that point where they were thinking about just stopping it. Not only, and I understand, but at the same time, like, you want to keep these traditions alive. All these former pro players that have retired and gone on to the Hall of Fame, to them being in the Pro Bowl and being selected for so many Pro Bowls is something beneficial, not only for them, but also for their career. And the fact that we were on the verge of letting the Pro Bowl go and letting these younger players never experience something of that magnitude is almost sickening. So I'm just glad that the Pro Bowl is still going on. But to get to the point, the draft this year was kind of stupid in my mind. The draft this year, it was boring. It was extremely boring. I was glad to see the players out there having fun and talking to the soldiers and everything the way it was going on. But at the same time, I want to see their reactions to getting picked. I want to see them be excited about being on Michael Irving's team. I want to see them being excited about being on Jerry Rice's team. I want to see that, come to my team, we're going to dominate that whole feeling. And the way the draft was set up this year was, okay, we're picking this person, we're picking that person, put them on the board, and let's keep it moving. And I found that extremely boring. And not to mention, you'd come back from commercial breaks, and they were like, okay, well, we were in the commercial break. Michael Irving's team selected this guy and this guy, and Jerry Rice's team selected this guy and this guy. And I was just like, okay, so not only am I not seeing their actual reactions to getting picked up by, Michael Irving or Jerry Rice, but now I'm not even seeing them get picked. Now I'm not even, you know, waiting in anticipation of who you're going to pick, who you're going to pick, who do I think is the better team at the end of the day. You hear Julio Jones' name come up and you're like, oh, he just got him. And then you add on AJ Green and you're like, holy crap, he's stacking his team. And that's not how it was this year. The draft was kind of like, okay, we've got Julio, let's go to commercial break. Okay, we came back, they picked up AJ Green while we were away from that commercial break. And I just thought it was just stupid. I didn't understand why they did that. So this last year, when the Pro Bowl was going on, you actually saw the players waiting for their name to get picked. You saw them come up to the stage. You saw their reactions, and they even gave a comment about being picked, what it felt like waiting or whatever it is. And that's what was really great to me last year because it shows that interpersonal relationship that you get with the players that get to play with each other that aren't usually on the same team. Like when you see like a Julio Jones and a AJ Green on the same team, it's something we're never going to see unless crazy contract disputes go on or whatever. This unity of players that come together is something we're never going to see ever. So for the best of the best to be on a team, I want to see what it's like when Julio Jones tells us what it's like to be on a team with AJ Green. I want to know what Russell Wilson thinks about having Todd Gurley in his backfield. Like these are the feelings and these are the things I want to see out of the draft, and they just weren't hitting the marks on anything. So honestly, I thought the draft was really boring. I'll be happy to look forward to the actual game itself, but the fact that that's what I looked at when I saw the draft, it kind of broke my spirits to be excited about it. The one thing I will say that was extremely awesome about the Pro Bowl draft was the stories about World War II and the bombings of Pearl Harbor, and the way the NFL went about telling the stories of these individuals. It's something we definitely don't see. I mean, the NFL prides itself on being very patriotic, so that's great. I'm really happy that they have that aspect with the country, especially because NFL is an American. It's American football. It's the nation's game, so to speak, and I thought it was great for them to pay tribute to that. Not to mention they are in Hawaii, so you know, not only are it's kind of a representation of not only are we going down there to play in the Pro Bowl, but we're also going down there because we don't have games down there that much. We don't have, you know, we don't have anything big in Hawaii for these fans. And Hawaii's got a really big fan base. I mean, they have a football team that competes on a national level, in college football. So there is a football fan base there. So for us to go down there as individuals, as the players can go down there and spread the love to those people, I think it's awesome. It's also not only that, but it also gives the players that freedom to get away and put themselves on a vacation. Bring your family, bring your parents, all that. So the fact that they're able to go down there, talk to veterans, and talk to these individuals and share their story, share the story of the people that were there for World War II is extremely amazing. That was my favorite thing. I mean, you would think that the draft itself would be great, but my favorite thing was listening to the stories and seeing these veterans and what they gave up and their life experiences. And we are always talking about NFL players being warriors and whatnot. So the fact that we could see these guys be actual soldiers, these actual individuals that went to war and know what it's like and have a love for the game of football is awesome. I know I'm cutting it a little short, but it's been a pretty short week. If you listen to the podcast and you saw my reactions and heard my reactions to the AFC and NFC championship, so that was kind of more information that I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to just give you guys my reaction so bad. I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be on YouTube. I'm excited to post these videos up. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and definitely subscribe. If you prefer to listen to it, definitely go on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher and add that, subscribe to that, and listen to the other older episodes if you haven't gotten a chance to. And if you like what I'm doing, if you like the content I'm posting out, definitely give a comment. You can always tweet at me at EasyOnMyEagles and leave whatever kind of responses you want, guys. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it for all fans, not just Eagles fans. And it's because I love football. And if you love football as much as I do, you should definitely respond. Definitely talk about whatever topics you guys want to talk about. And as always, and I will say it again, as always, please, 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 no, seriously, please, take it easy on my Eagles. No, seriously, take it easy.